Welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Loving live stream for April 14th, 2023. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. But, I want to talk about some things and get your questions, your comments, your topics, things you'd like to talk about. So let me jump over to my other camera. Hey, I like playing with my cameras. It's kind of fun. I hope you guys have had as beautiful a day as I have had here in Akron, Ohio. I look out my window beside me, and the weeping cherry blossoms are right outside my window, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful sight as I look out there. We're coming into this beautiful time of spring when all the flowers are coming up and all the trees are in bloom, and the grass is getting greener and the leaves are coming out on the trees. And it's interesting when you think about seasons. You think about the times of the year when it comes end of summer, we start to lose the leaves and we go the opposite direction. It's kind of like life in a way. We go through our stages of life. We go through the places where we're in the oneness of God. We come to this physical space, and we experience this physical space. And then we go back to that oneness of God. And while we're here in this physical space, we're away. We feel separate. We feel alone. We feel disconnected. But when we go back to that place, that oneness with God, we are encompassed by pure love and pure example of love. And we get to understand more than we've ever understood in our lives here in the physical. And a couple things have happened this week. One, my mother came through a medium for my sister and actually wished me a happy birthday. Knew the date and everything. It was just like magnificent. So it was a real validation that my mom was alive and well and still seeing everything that's going on and still seeing our passage of time here, still very much connected to me who's been left behind, right? The second sadder sort of thing to say is a couple weeks ago we put out loving prayer intention for our good friend Chitra's teacher, Bill. And Chitra informed me that he passed today. And I know because he was such a spiritual man, and Chitra sings so high of him, he must be a man of love, a man who just emanated love. And I feel congratulations for him to going back to that pure essence of love and being there on the other side. But for Chitra and those who are left here in the physical, it can be a time of grief and sorrow. But in that time of grief and sorrow, remember the love and the compassion that he showed in life, and remember the love and the compassion that you felt for him. And that's who you need to remember. This time of grief is the small time at the end, his passing of the small time at the end of his physical life. And now as they cross back over, we can remember them for the loving person they are, the loving, and know that they're still around us and still with us, and we're the ones who are away. And we'll see them again when we cross to the other side. So what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is I would like to take a moment of silence for Chitra's teacher, Bill, and for you guys to send your intentions, your loving intentions to him and to all those who he leaves behind who feel his absence. Just whatever way you would do that, let's just take a moment of silence for Chitra's friend Bill. Because I know that Bill is part of that oneness of God, and so are all of we. I'm sure that he heard every one of your intentions going not only to him, but the people that represent love to him and the people who he represented love to as well. So That said, Chitra, we love you. I love you, and whatever you need in this time, you just let us know, and I'm sure we'll jump at the chance to do whatever we can. He was a spiritual giant. Of that, I have no doubt, because just hearing your glowing words about him means that he really made an impact on you. So, that said, and let me just say this, it sounds like I'm almost starting this off as a bummer. He's home. He's back in the love, and congratulations to him for going and experiencing that pure essence of love. So let's be happy that he is experiencing that, as opposed to whatever sickness he had while he was here. He's now there experiencing complete health, complete joy and oneness. So anyway, a lot of things going on this week as well. Let me see if I can jump over here to see if any questions did come in. What kind of format are my live stream videos? You're looking at it. This is done. If you want to know what I'm using software-wise, it's I'm using Ecamm Live in my MacBook Pro, which this lovely John of New Audience helped me achieve, and I'm using a Sony ZV-1 camera and a Panasonic Lumix camera over there. Live Pro and a Stream Deck and all kinds of other little things. And I have a separate iPad over here so I can watch the chat board. So that's that. I hope that answers your question, cat lovers. You know what? Kimberly, hello. By the way, hello everybody who I haven't said hello to yet. I know there was a lot going on in the beginning of this video, this live stream. If I haven't said hello to you directly, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But hello to everyone. Cat lovers, you can ask any kind of question you want. If I try to answer everything, and if I can't, I'll tell you I can't. So this is a completely open forum. You can ask me anything, and I sometimes you might not like my answers, but I will answer them. Jump down. Let's see. Abraham Hicks. You're asking about Abraham Hicks. Yeah, I like Abraham Hicks. I find that Esther Hicks is really interesting because I see a lot of correlations in some of the work that I've done in the past. Because there was a time when I channeled a entity, and when I became more in tune with my own self-worth, the voice went away, the accent went away, and it just became my voice speaking. And if you look at Esther Hicks' early videos, there was an accent, there was a character, there was a whole personality, and now it's just her speaking. And I think there comes a resonance where you don't need the personality to speak through, and you become one, and you become you lose the self-doubt that you are worthy, and you start to be able to just bring information through. And so to me, I find her stuff very interesting. Now, I do find that for me personally, all the vortex talk and all that doesn't really resonate for me. But there's many ways to God. There's many ways to the source. And so I think it's great. What do I think of deja vu? Now, interesting is about deja vu. I experienced deja vu, and for some of you, it may be the same way. But I experience it in a very strange way. When I have deja vu, I remember dreaming it. I remember I dreamed this. I have that experience that way. I don't see it as didn't we do this? I literally, it was like I was having a precognition or a pre-experience in a dream state, and then I remembered it when it happened. So to me, deja vu is very different. But I don't believe in linear time. So I think all possibilities are possible, and I think that what readers in the moment are reading is potential, and what's going on in this moment, where it's headed, and how but we always have free will. in the chains. But deja vu might just be seeing the things that came to fruition before they actually happen. Yeah. Deb Heck is right, by the way. Give me a thumbs up. Thanks, Deb. Well, thank you for the God's blessing. I am Love 68. Blended being. Hi. Oh, yeah. So, Sarah, you see it as dreams too. Yeah, and it's weird because I don't remember dreaming it, but I remember dreaming it when I deja vu it. So it's like, oh, I did have a dream that had that in it, but I don't remember it like the day I dreamed it or whatever. It's very, very interesting. Hello, Alicia. How are you? That is how deja vu used to be for you, Michelle Brooks. Yeah, I think that I think that all of us have the psychic abilities. Clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, eclairs. That's my favorite one. But when I think that we all have the abilities. It's just a matter of clearing away the obstructions of seeing them or experiencing them. Hi, Brittany. How are you? I really do think that that a lot of people who get very open and start getting a lot of good information, there is a trap they can fall into where they start thinking it's a superpower, or they start thinking they're special because of it. And what I have found over the course of time is a lot of them who are really good and really open and really bringing in amazing information, over time their ego can get out of balance towards the narcissistic side. And what happens is you find that a lot of the really gifted ones over time, I have two that I know who are really, really gifted, And what happened is they, now you can't put the two of them in a room together because the whole thing will be backbiting, trying to prove who's better. And it gets, they get lost in their ego and their out of balance ego. Tyler, thank you so much. That is so helpful. As you know, this channel and what I do on here is my only source of income, and this really does help. So thank you very much. So like I said, the claircognizance. But let me tell you about my mother. Oh, thank you, cat lovers. I had a dream in which a name, John C. Hatchett, kept repeating. I've been asking for the names of my guides. Can you help me interpret? Am I making the name up? I have no idea what Hatchet is, but I am John C. Davis. But I have no idea. Actually, dream interpretation is a great topic. Great topic, because I'm a firm believer that dream interpretation has to be the person who's doing the dream interpreting it. Because I think that we all come through our own filters, and oftentimes I'll see something and somebody will read something into it, and I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't feel right. But then when I really stop and think about it, oh, I know what that means. And it might not mean anything like what they said, but I think that your consciousness has its own set of beliefs, your own set of experiences, and you need to really step back and go, okay, what does this mean for me? And because even like the numbers 444, 1111, all those numbers, it really comes down to the idea of what does it mean for me? For many people, they have specific things. 444 is angels, and 777 is luck, and all these 333 is Jesus, and they have all these things. For me, the numbers just mean synchronicities. So when I see something happening, when I'm doing something and something's really going in, feel like I'm in the groove, bam, this number pops up. I'm like, okay, I'm in the groove, right? To me, so for me, it's not at all. It's defined as what was her name? The lady with the angel cards who became a born again Christian, Doreen Virtue. She's the one that had the books that had all the this means this, this means this, this means this. I don't think that there is a specific meaning in that way. Yeah. Maybe there is someone. Did you do a Google search on John C. Hatchett? I agree with Kimberly. Might be something relevant. Your transmission blew this week. Thank you, God, for the new transmission that you are receiving. Amen. And the more you believe it's happening, it'll happen. That I believe. I've seen too many things manifest into my experience in really strange ways. Your job is not to know how. Your job is to start just saying it's going to happen. And next thing you know, the money's there to do it. And next thing you know is, and I just had mine done too. So mine was $3,800 to rebuild my transmission. So beautiful weather in what part of the Northeast are you in, Brittany? Let us know. It was beautiful here in Akron today. No doubt in my mind. 80 some odd degrees outside. I had to go pick up my son at college, and it was, I actually used my air conditioning on the way because it was getting just too hot. Things. Just synchronistic. That's what I think as well, Michelle. Here in Massachusetts. Okay, so up there north. Snowing all day in Alaska. Of course it is, Lynn. Alaska. That's such a beautiful country. I want to go there in the 1 week that it's sunny. I'm teasing. 50 degrees. Felt good here. Oh, nice. Beautiful in Southeast PA. What part of Southeast PA, Alicia? Near Philly? Because I'm from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware originally, so I'm a South Street cheesesteak guy. Give me a cheesesteak with cheese whiz any day of the week. Yep, Philly. Yep, yeah. That's my goal, is eventually to work my way back to the beach. That was another thing. Somebody, I don't know if you guys saw this on the comments section. Somebody was watching one of my videos, and I'm assuming she has her clairaudience open because she heard the words "John, go home," and then she said, "I think you're going home by July," and she meant Rehoboth Beach, my hometown. So I'm all for that. I'm all for being at the beach this summer. And I've been manifesting here. I've been packing the house, stripping everything down. So just the studio and basically my bedroom and my kitchen being all complete, so that when the time comes, I'm able to move quickly. So I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it is. What do I love about the beach? Do you feel a spiritual connection when you're at the beach in your hometown? For me, when I go back to the beach and I get around the salt air, I instantly feel healthier. I breathe better. Everything is just nice. I feel like I almost get the bends when I'm away from the ocean for too long. The other thing is, I know that also when I'm down there, my family's there, my core family. So many of the personal representations of love for me in this life live there. So when I go home, it's like there. And then my best friend from childhood is still there. I've known him since we were 5. We're still the best friends. And so I'm the only reason I moved to Ohio is because my son is in Ohio because of my ex-wife moving here. So I'm in Ohio because my son's here. But he's 19 now and in college, so he can come work at the beach this summer when I'm down there in my new house. Yeah, well, and Brittany, the first thing I saw in my regression was standing on a beach on the Sea of Galilee. So there's that. I also You've heard me tell the story of when one of the readers did a full trance channeling, and where the name John of New comes from, or John of New. She literally embodied Yeshua, And she says, John of old, John of new, I love you. I've always loved you. I will always love you. I'm with you. I've always been with you. I always will be with you. And that happened on the beach in Cape Henlopen, which is just north of Rehoboth Beach. And so that place has a very special meaning for me on a spiritual level, too. So that was a huge, huge experience for me. Even I'm moving there at some point, but if I don't move there this year, I'll be down there in July at some point because I have 2 weeks that I took off on my calendar to be in the beach. Yeah, absolutely. The beach just it's restorative for me. My wife is ocean and I'm the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I have often, I tell the story of Adam and Eve, and I say they ate from the tree of knowledge, they got kicked out of paradise. But paradise is a feeling. And I said, some people, paradise is the beach, and some people, paradise is the mountains. But it's the feeling of what you're experiencing when you're there is what paradise is. So I think it's funny that you said it that way. Virginia Beach, yes, and the sound of the waves, yeah, and Virginia Beach, the ARE is right there too. I've spoken at the ARE in the past. I don't know, been 20 years since I've done it, but yeah, I like the there a lot. My nephew lives near Virginia Beach now, so a lot of people I talk to on my private sessions feel their most spiritual connections in nature, and I have to say I'm pretty much that way as well. When I was doing my out of body experiences and doing my early astral travel work and all that stuff, that was happening in a campground at a Renaissance festival during the week when nobody else was there, and so to me it was nature is a very sacred space. And one of the things that the churches have done, which I find really interesting, is that they've made the sacred spaces the churches. And if you want to get married outside of the building of the church, you have to get special permissions to do that because it's not, sanctified ground, it's not holy ground. And to me, it's those sort of delineations and separations of religion that take the power of the source God away from us. I just did the interpretation of the Gnostic Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and there's a part in there. She says, be with nature, and she didn't mean. I don't know if she necessarily meant being outside with people because that wasn't kind of a thing, because you were outside a lot back then. But I think it was really just being with the nature of things. But I think that in the world itself, the physical spaces of houses and carpets and hardwood floors and all the, when you get out in your backyard and you just get out there and you smell the air and you see the hawk fly over, hear the owl hoot in the woods, there's a spiritual bond that happens in that experience. And when you're out there and you really start to look at what's around you, you start to understand how perfect everything is. And there's a quote that's attributed to Buddha that I love. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And I don't know whether it is Buddha or not. Maybe Lynn can tell me. It's when you realize how perfect everything is, you'll tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. And to me, that is such a beautiful statement because everything is perfect. I mean, if you think of this tree that's outside my window right now as I look out the window, the leaves are coming out. Now, those leaves all summer long are going to collect sunlight and water, and they're going to redirect water to the roots of the tree. And all summer long, they're going to be making that tree healthy and grow. When fall comes and the sun gets low in the sky, those same leaves are going to shrivel up and fall right on top of the roots of the tree. And they're going to break down and become nitrogen. And nitrogen is exactly what those roots want at the precise time of the year where the tree is really pushing root growth. And so it literally is this perfect cycle, these leaves. And like I tell people all the time, my grass is always the greenest in the neighborhood because I don't rake leaves. I take my lawnmower and I chop them up and leave that nitrogen right there in the soil. The leaves aren't, I never bag one bag of leaves ever, and or rake them out to the front for the guy to come out of the vacuum. Nope, I chop them up because God put those leaves there and that nitrogen there for my plants and trees. They grew those leaves, they grew those stems, and they dropped them right on top of their own roots so they can grow. That's how perfect nature is. It is this ever-growing cycle, ever-growing motion. And when you're out there in nature and you're experiencing that, and then you realize that you are one with it and you are experiencing it in that same oneness, it is more holy than any place I've ever been. It's just to be out in the woods or in the backyard even. So make sure you get to spend some time out in doing all that, some time out in the outside like that as well. It's more like 10,000 puddles, though. Let's go back up here. We'll see what I missed. Love ARE videos and Edgar Casey. Yeah, Edgar Casey was a big milestone for me. I literally said, "Oh God, please just give me a sign that all this John the Beloved stuff is real." And I opened up an Edgar Casey book, Edgar Casey on the Millennium, and it said, literally said, Edgar Casey said, "John the Beloved will again be named John." And I was like, oh, all right, I'll have the regression. So it was very, very big for me. Oh, Brittany, I'm glad you liked the Mary Magdalene video. I want to do more of the Gnostic stuff. I was thinking about this the other day. Everybody's doing the Bible stuff, but the Bible stuff is so picked over and so interpreted and changed for 2,000 years, and the Gnostic stuff is still closer to the original stuff, but even it is still written by people who had an agenda. But there are real serious truths in it, and I love the what's left of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, because the things that I was reading there were very much what I teach and what he taught. And so to me, it was very right in line with everything that I talked about, especially when they talked about the oneness. They were talking about, you're part of everything. I don't have it in front of me, but there's actually a line in there where she says, it's like that Jesus said we're one with everything. In so many words, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Grounded in the earth, grounded in our experience. I love it. When traveling on water, with Jeshua, was there a place where there was a beach on one side of the water and a large white building on a cliff on the other side? I don't have a memory of that, but my memories are not complete. So the interesting thing about the Sea of Galilee is it's surrounded by hills, and not necessarily big mountains, but hills. And when you're there, it's a very very serene place usually. But I wasn't there during a storm, so I don't know what it's like during stormy times. But the times that I've been there, it was very serene and just and quiet, very quiet. But I don't have a memory of that specifically. Hawk is your spirit animal. Look up and drink the sky by a Sufi. Oh, love it. Love it. I'm reading down to see what else we have here. Nature nurtures my soul. Yeah, me too. Have I heard about the Urantia book? I have. I haven't really gotten into the Urantia stuff. I will at some point. Sarah, I too am fascinated by the Gnostic Gospels. The one that I'm looking at right now to do is actually the Apocryphon of John, but it'll have to be like a 4-part series because it's a very long book. And as I read it, I'm beginning to question whether it was John came from the words of John the Beloved. Let me just say this: I don't think John wrote. I think John was an oral telling teacher, and people wrote down his teachings. But when I read this, there's some things in there that I think it's a different John. But as I go through it, I'll make that determination. But I think I'm fascinated by them as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew it was your answer. I totally got that. Um, yeah, it would be nice if the rest of that Gospel of Mary Magdalene were to come up. You find the rest of it. I mean, yeah, the book of John. It's interesting because there's a lot in the biblical book of John that I would like to do on that as well. But I think I'm going to back into the Bible books. Um, I did the Sermon on the Mount, and as when I did the Sermon on the Mount videos, I was really looking at it and seeing, I kind of think that speech is almost schizophrenic in saying this, and then the next phrase is almost saying the opposite. So there's some things in there that I because of all the manipulations, the translations, the edits that have happened over the years to the Bible books. I think going back to the Gnostics and bringing out the Gnostic texts that haven't been translated and picked over for thousands of years will be a very interesting study. I'm only concerned about the people loving one another. Okay, so I am Love 68. You can't save the world. All you can do is make your part of the world so bright that others choose to change their world around them. So you just by example, be the love, live the love, and share the love, so people can see the love, experience the love, and be the love themselves. Um, but the more you stay focused on being concerned about people loving each other, you're actually focusing on them not. And when you put your focus on not, your belief is they're not because you're concerned about it. So release the concern and just start being the love and spreading the love. And there are people who have had experiences with the live loving stuff I talk about that it's amazing the changes they see almost instantaneously. They start loving people. They go to the grocery store with a smile on their face and greet people, and everyone lights up around them because they're walking through life living loving. And when you walk through life living, that's why this is called the Live Loving live stream. When you're walking through life living loving, what happens is it's instantly it's like putting a shockwave of love out in the world. So rather than being concerned about what they're not doing, be joyful about doing what you're doing and let them see what you're doing so they can go, ooh, what do they got? And then they get to do that their own Harry met Sally moment. I'll have what she's having, right? Right. That's the kind of thing that will change the world. There you go. I'm glad that makes sense. Do you have between live memories? I don't. In fact, what's really interesting is in the Bible there is a line in the book of John. Actually, Peter says, "What of him?" He says, if I want him to stay until I come, what's that to you? I'm talking to you." And they thought that John would not die. And the one time that I met somebody on the other side, because I've crossed over 3 times, but the one time that I met somebody on the other side, they said, "You're not supposed to be here yet," and knocked me back. And I have often wondered whether I'm, the soul of John of old is continually just instantly reincarnating, not staying on the other side. I have memories of the other side in this life, but not in between. Chitra, I'm glad you're catching on to the word thing. I am very specific about words for very specific reasons. Words, the majority of your words are coming from your subconscious mind. And your subconscious belief is just as powerful of a creator as your conscious belief. And the more you can get very conscious about what your subconscious belief is believing, then you have the ability to change your subconscious belief and change your outcome. In the beginning is the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Your words, your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions go out to the source of the oneness of all, and then the oneness of all shows your belief to you in this image of God that we all live in. And so it comes back to this place of your words need to be very specific, like wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing, can't. None of them are present moment active. Receiving, enjoying, creating are very present moment active. And when you get into the space of I am receiving, because life is motion. If you're not moving, you're stagnating. And so it's a matter of what am I doing? And remember that am I is I am backwards. Am I is I am backwards. I am is God's name. Whatever you ask in God's name is granted. Am I means you're not. I am. As Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try, right? Do or do not, there is no try. I am. And the more you get into that very specific space of focusing on concern, there's the Native American story of the grandfather's grandson, very famous story. The two wolves fighting inside. The grandfather says there's two wolves. One's kind, one's beautiful, one's not. One's mean, one's nasty, and they're fighting inside. And which one's going to win, Grandpa? The one you feed. So it really comes down to your belief and your words and understanding that 85 to 90% of your day is in your subconscious mind. And that's huge. That's a huge thing. You are quite welcome, Jean Love. I love your name. I love your name. I bet you live love all the time, don't you? How are all the readings going since you've been booked out for so long? I am having a blast. Every day I talk to beautiful people who are having moments in their life where they just need a little bit of a tweak, and I get to come on, and I've met so many people. I can't tell you how many people have said, I feel like I've got a new best friend, and I feel the same way. I love everybody I'm talking to. It's just been a wonderful experience for me. I totally love it. I feel like I'm of purpose. I feel when I sit down at that other desk, the other desk is my green screen desk. When I sit down at the other desk, because I do my sessions from that desk, I just sit there and I just really, I laugh all day long with people. I joke all day long with people. I watch people come in unsure and leave laughing and leave excited and moving forward and doing something different. And that to me is the greatest gift that I could ever get in a day. And I get to see it multiple times a day. Now all the way to September. So our subconscious is closer to our soul message. I wouldn't say that. I don't think there is quote unquote a soul message. I think your subconscious is a collection of your beliefs. Your subconscious is made up of present moment experiences and present moment memories, and it's a matter of doing exactly what one of the lines in the Bible that I think is really clear that most people misinterpret. Be born again. Set down your subconscious, your past, and start new and fresh with a clean slate. You must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. And that's one of the things they always say about children is children are fearless, right? And the Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Children are fearless. Come back to being a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. So there's a lot of our soul message. I think the soul and the Holy Spirit are the same thing, and I think it's us. I think it's the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Father, the God consciousness. Son, and let's leave the gender out of all this because Father and Son are equally male and female in my mind. Father, God consciousness. Son, physical world consciousness. Holy Spirit is us, our higher self, our complete Holy Spirit self that's aware of our divinity and aware of our separation at the same time. And I think that's when you talk about our soul, it really is just us. When we're down here in the physicals, where we're blinded to the truth of it all. But when we cross back over, we have a different experience. We come back to the oneness. My mom has come through that same medium multiple times. By the way, I'm trying to get her to come on to one of these live streams, or if she won't do a live stream, it may just be a video. And so when hold on for a second. Donna, you saying that you have a tornado where you are now? Let us know. We'll respond. I'm glad. I love those. I love the conversations. It's so great. I became a child to get this YouTube name. Great. Hello, Larry. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What can one expect to receive from having a session with you? So we've got several in here who have had sessions with me. Would you guys like to chime in? Because sometimes it's better to hear from someone who's been through it. So if you'd like to share, I could give you the basics of it. An hour before, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna think of your name. I'm gonna exhale. I'm gonna channel a written message. Sometimes it's a page. Sometimes it's two. And you're going to come on and we're going to greet and have a great time. And I'm going to start the whole thing by reading that message. And then we're going to go off and have a conversation. And in that conversation, things are going to come out. And there'll be little bits of channeled stuff that come in that I don't announce are being channeled stuff. And at the end, the goal for me is to empower you, to have you leave there empowered to reach any goal that you want to have in your life, and to know that you are doing it, and to come away. And that could be physical healing, that could be, financial abundance, that could be whatever it is you need to do. I've had people come in who felt they're about to lose a court case, and by the end of the session they knew they were going to win, and they won, right? I don't know if you saw the video I just posted the other day about the woman who came to me with breast cancer, and she just sent me a message the other day. It's the greatest message I've had in a long time. She's cancer free now, and it was all done by her taking her power and her choice from one of those sessions. Hello, Brent. How are you? I know it's been a stressful couple weeks. Exhale, my friend. Exhale. Come back to the feeling of the source of that oneness, and just know it's okay. Because when you exhale, you're releasing the fear, which is the stress. So, welcome. And this is the place to do it. Anyway, I hope that answered your question about my session. Like I said, if anybody else who's had a session with me wants to chime in anything, feel free to do that. And Donna, so I want to make sure. Donna, is there a tornado? Is there a tomato, Donna? Is there a tomato? And you guys don't know the inside joke of tomato, so I'll share that with you in a minute. But I want to make sure that Donna's okay before. I understand also, Donna, that I get tinnitus all the time. Sometimes I think it's just the frequency being tuned. So what other questions do we have, folks? We got about 15 minutes left of this live stream tonight, and I want to make sure I get some of your questions in, some of your answers in. I hope I've been able to answer some of the ones that have come in so far, or at least bring something that you're finding valuable in this. You can take a drink of water. I'll let you guys fill out over there. No tomatoes, just a very strong wind. Well, that's ironic because I get a very strong wind whenever I eat tomatoes. Sorry, my comedy mind. Well, good. I'm glad there's no tomatoes. So For those guys that don't know the tomato story, um, Donna and I were talking one time, and I misunderstood. They were talking about tornadoes, and I thought they said tomatoes, and then tomatoes became the thing that made it okay to not be afraid of the tornadoes. uh, Sarah, people have asked me about doing a sitting in love video. I think I think I'd be a little self-conscious about it myself, because for me, I sit down, and it literally is just a quiet room, no music, no extras, just me sitting there in that feeling. And I've had people say, "Well, turn on one of those cameras, or you can possibly see orbs or whatever." And I might try that just to see if something happens. But and I bought one because after seeing Kim Carey's videos, I was like, I want to see if that. And I never actually set it up yet. So at one point I'll do that. But I've done meditations, and I know there's a YouTube channel out there that ended up with millions of views, and the guy, all he did was sit there and stare at the camera and smile, and he stared for a long time too, and but I don't know how, Sarah. I guess my question to you would be, how do you see that coming about? Because to me, it would be me sitting in a chair having an experience, and I don't know if there's a lot of entertainment value to seeing me sit in a chair having an experience without ever actually saying anything. Let me know. Chitra, I'm glad you liked my joke. I was very proud of its construction. Thank you very much. Any more stories of spiritual experiences in nature? There was, I may have told this one already a long time ago. There was an area where I used to go sit down in a creek bed and meditate, and this is when I was practicing a meditation rather than sitting in love. But I'd get to that state, and I'd be in that state, and all the flies would stop bothering me, and all my breathing got real easy. And I was just like, I knew that I was about to go fully in the state when the flies would stop and the breathing would, because I was no longer attached to the physical world experience. And I finished the experience, and I got up and I was just walking, and there was this log that had fallen across the creek, and it was big enough to walk on. So I walked down on it like a bridge, and I'm halfway across, and I stop and I turn to my left, and there was a 6-point buck right on the river's edge, standing there looking at me. And I turned, and we locked eyes, and I was just like, for a moment, we were just in a gaze. And then the excitement hit me, and like the physical world excitement, I was like, cool! And the deer tripped, and it took off running as fast and as hard as he could. But he didn't. It was like he didn't even know I was there. We were probably 8 feet apart, and I was kind of glad to be on the bridge looking down at this beautiful animal. Another story I had, which was very strange. I was in a park in Florida. I was down there performing a show, and this was early on, right after I was finding out all about my past life stuff, and I was still living in my Airstream travel trailer at the time, and I had a Rottweiler. I had a wonderful giant lapdog named Odin, who I just adored and still adore to this day, even though he's been long gone. And I was really kind of just contemplating everything that was happening with all these psychics and all this stuff, and I was trying to figure out what I believed about the whole thing. And I got up and I went over to this pond, and I sat down next to this pond when my dog came over, and he just sat down right next to me. And then I was sitting there, and I'm just relaxing and getting into the state of just being out there in nature. And I hear a bloop, like something fell in the water. And I looked over, and I saw a turtle on a log. And the closer I looked, I realized there was a lot of turtles on that log. There was like 13 or 14 turtles on that log. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I heard a rustle in a tree above me. I looked up, and there was an iguana in the tree right above me. And I just started thinking, iguana, turtles. And I started looking around, and there was a rabbit that was like over in the brush, just kind of sitting there looking at me, right? And I was like, and I started really, really paying attention to what was going on. And there were ducks, there was turtles, there was iguanas, there was rabbits, there was all these animals all around us. And my dog wasn't going crazy. My Rottweiler was not going crazy about all that. We were just sitting there totally calm, surrounded by all these animals, without any concern, just in the stillness, just being. And in just being, there was no need to fear, As Swaminarayan said, because I am without fear, he gave me nothing to be fearful for. Me talking about the lion. Because I was without any ill intent, they had nothing to fear from me. And that was huge. I just walked out on the back deck earlier tonight with my son, my son is a very big-hearted kid. And he's a big-hearted kid, 6'5", right? We walked out on the back deck. We're just standing out there. And I look up, and there was 4 deer standing in the back of our property. And they turned and they looked at us, and we were like, looked at them. And they looked at us a little longer. And they turned and went back to eating, because there was no threat from us, As long as you're putting that expression into it, then the world will come back to you. When you're putting love, love comes back to you. Good night. I am Love 68. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming by. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, Matthew, when things seem a little harder, sometimes that's because they're working their way out, right? When water's flowing downhill heading towards the sea, sometimes it comes to a rock, and that rock can be thought of as a huge obstruction that you have to fight against, or that rock can be something you flow around or flow over like water will do, because water always makes it to the destination, right? But sometimes that water, to get to that destination, has to fall off a cliff. Now, in some aspects, that water falling is just a beautiful waterfall. To the water falling, it could be just the fastest way to get to the destination. But it also could be water falling to a crash, right? But it really is the intention. It's like sometimes things happen the way they do because we have chosen. And when we chose, things had to be cleared out of the way. So just keep your eye on the positive outcome. The positive outcome, no matter what happens. I'll tell you the story. I was supposed to speak at the ARE in Virginia Beach, and I was a couple months out, and I had to go there. And I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. And I had a big chip in my front tooth, and I didn't want to speak with the big chip in my front tooth. Thank you, God, for the perfect tooth I am receiving. A submarine sandwich came. I ordered it to eat for lunch. I bit into it, and that tooth broke the rest of the way off. In that moment, I could have said, well, that didn't work. This is much harder. Instead, what I said was, cool, I wonder where this is leading me. Because I know I'm a creator. And I know if I'm focused on getting a perfect tooth, my tooth breaking off is part of the process. So I said, cool. I wonder where this is taking me. Because it's also not my job to know how. I just believe. I just create. How handles itself. God handles the how. Well, what happened was I ended up getting a phone call from a lady who had just become the president of an organization that helped Renaissance Festival entertainers and vendors get dental work and medical work done for free. And she overnighted me a check for $3,000 to fix that tooth and another tooth in my mouth. And I didn't have to know how. I just had to know that I'm the creator. The way I create is my belief. What I believe, I create, and I know that. So when things seem harder, I don't think of it as hard. I think of it as fun. I go, oh, cool! This is happening because I'm getting it. So keep your keep your eye on the ball, right? Keep your eye on the outcome. Jump back over. I'm really happy to see that you no longer subscribe to it, right? When I left Christianity, and people get shocked when I say I'm not a Christian, because it would go completely against what he taught. He did not believe in Messiahs, Saviors, or Christs. So when I stopped being a Christian, a lot of Christians really got pretty vehement with me. Started telling me I'm going to hell, I'm the Antichrist, I'm all these things. For every one of them, I get 200 to 300 people telling me that they resonate with what I'm saying, or they love what I'm saying. And so there are the ones who are going to say something. That's theirs, not yours. Let them have their time, and eventually they'll come around, either in this life or on the other side. Well, I feel responsible, Alicia. I feel responsible for doing these live streams. You guys have been so good to me. The reason I was going to stop doing them is because my computer was not able to continue doing both video and live streams. It just wasn't a really good enough computer to do that. And then this lovely community helped me get a new computer, and so it is absolutely my responsibility to bring the live streams, and I love doing them. I love doing them well. So I'm so happy to be here and doing them. You are quite welcome, Kimberly, for that story. You're welcome, Matthew. Let me jump back up here. And you know what's interesting about iguanas, Michelle? I was in Fort Lauderdale, and they had a cold snap, and the iguanas started falling out of the trees, catatonic, because they're cold-blooded. When it gets cold, they pass out. And so we were hearing thud, 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 and the iguanas were just falling out of trees. It was very strange. And then it warmed up, and they started moving again. It was very, very strange. So what are your thoughts on the moon? I have no idea what that question is. What about the moon? I don't understand. Please elaborate so I can answer your question. Nerissa, I love that name. Noggingast. Oh, wow. When you have a name like John Davis, the most generic name in the world, interesting names are so fascinating to me. I just love them. Well, thank you, Cheryl. Much love to you as well. Yeah, without judgment. I agree with you on that one. It's theirs, not mine. Does work very well, but you must do it without judging them. And this works really well for people who are highly empathic. They feel mood swings because they're picking up somebody else's stuff. That's theirs, not mine. That's so easy to let it go. Anywho, we got a couple more minutes here. Any last questions that I can go, or topics before we get out of here? Keeping my throat moist. I do a lot of talking now because of that interview. Well, thank you, Larry and Nerissa. I love it. So what about the moon? I really would like to know what the question was. What do I think of the moon? Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Blake, it's lovely to see you here. Thank you, guys. I guess we're going to wind her down now. Doesn't seem to be any more questions coming in. So I appreciate you all. Nerissa, just a quick answer to this question. Most of my memories are outside with Yeshua. I have very few interior memories with him at all because we walked so much. Anyway, well, good night, my friends. I love you all, and thank you for coming here and spending your Friday evening with me. I totally enjoy these sessions and this time with you, and you go out and live a loving life and let people know that you're living a loving life. So you guys have a great weekend. I have both days off. I'm so excited. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.